Hello everyone, and welcome. Let's explore some interesting news from around the world. Scientists have done something amazing. They have read the complete genetic instructions of a man who lived in ancient Egypt a very long time ago, between 2855 BC and 2570 BC. They did this by taking DNA, which is like a recipe book for a living thing, from one of his teeth. This is a huge step forward, as people have been trying to get DNA from Egyptian mummies for over 40 years. This man was buried in a simple pot, not in a fancy tomb, which actually helped protect his DNA from the hot and dry weather. By studying his bones, scientists learned he was a man, not very tall at about 1.6 meters, and lived to be between 44 and 64 years old. This was very old for that time in history. The wear on his bones suggests he might have been a potter, making things out of clay, even though he was given a nice burial like an important person. A helpful tip to remember is that our DNA can tell scientists all sorts of things about us, from what we look like to where our ancestors came from. In some sad news from California, a dangerous dust has been found in the air and inside people's homes after a big wildfire. This dust comes from a metal called beryllium. Beryllium is very light and strong, so it's used to make parts for spaceships. But if you breathe in even a tiny amount of its dust, it can cause a serious and sometimes deadly lung sickness. Health experts are worried because they have only checked a small number of homes, and they think the problem could be much bigger. They are not yet sure where the beryllium came from. It might have been in things that burned in the fire, or maybe it was carried by the wind from old aerospace materials. Officials are telling people to be very careful and to hire special cleaners if their homes were damaged. Because of this, some parents are worried that the beaches might be unsafe, even though the county says the ocean water is fine. As a result, fewer kids are signing up for surf camps. Let's look up to the stars now. Astronomers in Chile, using a very powerful telescope, have seen something for the first time. They have proof that a special kind of star, called a white dwarf, can explode twice, one right after the other. A white dwarf is the small, dense core left over after a star like our sun runs out of fuel. For a long time, scientists have had a theory about a double detonation, and now they've seen it happen. They looked at the leftover cloud from a star explosion that happened over 300 years ago and is very far away. They saw two circles of calcium, which are like fingerprints showing that two explosions happened just seconds apart. This discovery helps explain why star explosions, which scientists use like measuring sticks for the universe, can sometimes look different from each other. Knowing that stars can explode in two steps helps us better understand how the universe is growing. A fun fact is that when we look at stars that are far away, we are actually looking back in time, because it takes a very long time for their light to reach us. Speaking of space, astronomers think they might have found a third visitor to our solar system from the space between the stars. This new object has been given the temporary name A11Pi3Z. It follows the discovery of two earlier interstellar visitors, which were named Oumuamua and Borisov. This new object is traveling very, very fast, at about 66 kilometers every second, which is a strong clue that it did not come from our own solar system. Scientists are working hard to learn more about it, as it seems to be different from the other two. In a separate and unrelated piece of news, there is also some excitement about the discovery of tiny living things, called microorganisms, on an asteroid, which has sparked conversations about life in space. Back on Earth, a sad story comes from India. A kabaddi player from Uttar Pradesh named Brajesh Solanki has died from a disease called rabies. Rabies is a very serious illness that people can get from an animal bite if it's not treated. About a month before he died, he was bitten by a stray puppy that he was trying to help. Sadly, he thought it was just a small scratch and did not get the important anti-rabies shot that could have saved his life. His brother said he was bitten while trying to move the puppy during a practice session. This event reminds everyone how important it is to be aware of the dangers of stray animal bites and to get medical help right away. A little bit of trivia for you. Kabaddi is a very popular and exciting team sport where players hold their breath and try to tag opponents on the other team's side of a field. In the country of Colombia, very heavy rains have caused major problems in a city called Villavicencio. The rain was so strong that it caused terrible flooding and even made a giant hole, like a crater, in the middle of the city. These floods created emergencies in at least 19 different places. Tragically, one man died when a landslide, which is a sudden rush of mud and rock, hit his home while he was sleeping. The city's mayor said the amount of rain was not normal for the area. Rescue teams have been working hard and have saved 6 people. About 3,500 people have been affected by the floods. This is part of a bigger problem, as heavy rains have caused trouble in over 700 towns across Colombia this season. At the same time, in a separate event in the capital city of Bogotá, a young woman was badly hurt when her ex-partner ran her over with a car after an argument. Here is an interesting fact about aging around the world. There are about 630,000 people on Earth who are 100 years old or even older. Most of them live in just 10 countries. A small country called Monaco now has the highest share of older people. Almost 37% of its people are over 65. This is more than Japan, which has about 30%. However, Japan still has the largest total number of older people. In general, countries in Europe have the oldest populations. It is also interesting to see how long people live after they retire. People in France live the longest after retirement, for about 23 years. They are followed by Spain, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the United States, where people live about 18 years after retiring. Scientists in Spain have made a concerning discovery. They found tiny pieces of plastic, called microplastics, in human body fluids related to having babies. They looked at fluid from women's ovaries and semen from male donors. They found plastic in more than half of the samples from both men and women. They found 9 different kinds of plastic, including the types used to make non-stick pans and water bottles. Most samples had 1 or 2 tiny plastic particles, but one sample had 5. The researchers are being careful, though. They say their study was small and needs more work before they can say if these plastics affect a person's ability to have children. A little tip is that microplastics are everywhere, from the deepest oceans to the highest mountains, and they come from larger plastic items breaking down over time. Researchers in Australia are warning us about a new kind of problem. They found that popular AI chatbots, which are computer programs you can talk to, can be set up to give out false health information that sounds very real and trustworthy. These AI tools could be used to create and spread a lot of dangerous fake advice very quickly. This is made worse because AI can also create very convincing fake pictures, videos, and websites. Experts say that even small changes in the questions you ask the AI can cause it to give bad information. This shows that we need better rules and protections for people when AI is used for health advice. There was an exciting sight in the sky over Sweden and southern Finland recently. A very bright meteor, also known as a fireball, flashed across the night sky. Many people saw it and even recorded videos. They described it as a huge, bright ball of light that was visible for about 5 seconds. It lit up the sky in cities like Stockholm and Helsinki. A sky-watching group in Finland said the sightings started at about 10:30 at night. So far, there are no reports of anyone being hurt or anything being damaged, and we don't know yet if any pieces of the meteor made it to the ground. A good thing to know is that a meteor is often called a shooting star. It's a piece of space rock burning up as it enters our atmosphere. There is some disappointing news about a satellite called MethaneSat. This $88 million spacecraft was built to track leaks of a gas called methane all over the world. But now, it has lost power, and engineers cannot contact it. They think it probably cannot be fixed. The satellite was launched just a short time ago in March of 2024 and was supposed to work for at least 5 years. In its brief 15-month life, it had already started sending back useful information about methane leaks from oil and gas companies. This information was important for helping countries reduce this gas, which is very powerful at warming our planet. The group that built it called the loss a setback but said they will continue to work on monitoring methane in other ways. Finally, a proposed change in the United States government's spending could cause big problems for a European space mission. A plan to cut the budget for the space agency NASA would mean less money for science and could stop a mission to Mars called ExoMars. NASA had promised to provide Europe with 3 important pieces of equipment for the mission: a powerful rocket, special landing engines, and heaters to keep the robot warm on Mars. Without these parts from the US, Europe's robot, named Rosalind Franklin, will likely miss its chance to launch in 2028. The next chance would not be until 2030 or later, which would be very expensive. This mission has already been delayed several times. Its goal is to drill deep under the Martian surface to look for signs of ancient life, something no mission has done before. Thank you for listening and learning with me today.